The culture here is so alive and so big that you can't keep your own culture for the second generation. You will be embraced by Brazilian culture.
Hey, Jamie Woods, we here to travel and motivate. No curry, we just trying to keep our minds in a golden state. We answer to nobody but the Lord, we control our fate. Too many things to see just to sit in a hole and bake. We growing, ayy.
Are you thinking of moving out of Brazil now because of your experiences in Europe, or do you love Brazil where you want to stay in Brazil?
No, to be honest, I love Brazil. I love living in Rio. We just have one problem here. It's really expensive to live a safe, comfortable life here in Brazil, especially in Rio and São Paulo. And in comparison with the rest of the country, it's really, really, really expensive. And to live in a nice area where you feel safe all the time, and you're close to the beach and close to the good activities of Rio, like global events, like, you know, Madonna and Copacabana. If you live in Nilópolis, you're like 2 hours away from these kind of things. So 2 hours to go, 2 hours to come back. It's the same thing about working in the office in the center of Rio. So yeah, it's life here. It's actually really good, but it's expensive.
Hello everyone. Make sure to check out Jaime's Patreon for exclusive content. The link is in the description.
So where you're at is in the state of Rio.
Yeah, it's the state of Rio, but it's another city called Nilópolis. We make boundaries with Rio de Janeiro city, but it's another city.
Okay, yeah, because I think people fail to understand, and that's a culture shock that I faced when I went to Rio. Was I assumed that when I just thought Rio de Janeiro was a city, but it's actually also a state.
Yes,
and it has many cool places. I mean, I've heard of Buzios, Niterói. I heard of Niterói.
Yeah, Niterói is another city from the other side of the bridge. Yeah.
Oh, we got fans over here. Alan says Sergio is pica. What does that mean?
Pica literally translates to dick.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like you're fucking sick. You know, like you're great.
Yeah. Shout out to Alan, man. Alan, boa noche, tudo bem, amigo? I know a little. Actually, Sergio, believe it or not, I actually know a little bit of Portuguese. I know a lot more than when I first talked to you back in April, because I hired a tutor. My understanding of Portuguese has improved, but my issue is talking Portuguese.
Yes, because you have the background in Spanish, so you probably mixed up things.
Yeah, I mix them up too much, bro. Like, well, sometimes cuando falo portugués, alguna vez yo estoy falando español. So I need to like separate the two, separar los dos idiomas, los dos lenguas.
I feel the same when we try to learn Spanish. You realize at some point you're speaking Galician because you're mixing so much Portuguese with Spanish that's not sounding Spanish and not quite Portuguese. So in between, it's the Portuñol.
Yeah, Portuñol, man, that's my life right now. Portuñol is my life. Ask my tutor. Sometimes I think I frustrate her because she keeps correcting me all the time. She's like, "No, you're speaking Spanish. You're speaking Spanish." And I'm like, I know. You got to give me a little bit, you know. But this is one thing about Portuguese speakers, whether you're from Portugal or from Brazil. But I feel you guys have an advantage over us Spanish-speaking folk, to where I feel you guys can understand us better than what we can understand you. Meaning, like, if I were to si te hablo en español, me entiende, ¿verdad?
Yes, no problem.
Sí, me entiende perfectamente, sí. Pero cuando me falan en portugués, no entiendo mucho. So I start getting a little confused sometimes when he speaks to me.
Spanish, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe we will need to Google that, but I think that Spanish has like 6 phonetics and we have 15. So we make way more sounds than Spanish speaker. And if you observe well, the Latin starts in Italy, in Rome, and then starts spreading as a not correct Latin, then it splits in different languages. So as far as you are from Rome, you can understand the other variants of Latin well. So the Portuguese, the Portugal, because it's in the end of Europe, it's you can understand Spanish and French and Italian and everything, but I think that a French speaker cannot understand well Spanish or Portuguese because
Exactly.
it's closer to Italy, you know. So because we are in the last part of in Iberian Peninsula and the end of Europe, we can understand the other variations because we're the last variation of the regular Latin.
Sergio, I might clip that. I might have to clip that and put that on TikTok because I never thought of that before. Actually, that blows my mind. I'm like, wow, that makes sense. Why Spanish and Portuguese speakers can sort of understand each other, and why it would be a little harder to understand a French person or vice versa. Because the more France is like kind of more to the side, going more towards Central Europe, and then us, Portugal and Spain is more like towards the other opposite direction. Basically, sort of trilingual, right? Since you're learning Spanish.
No, I speak some German, and I'm studying Mandarin and French, and I also speak a little bit of Galician.
That's 6 languages.
Yeah, kind of. Like I feel comfortable to speak in Portuguese, of course, English, and at sort level German. But the other ones I'm still working on. So yeah.
Yeah, man, definitely. I would say for you, my recommendation, try to get good with Spanish, because I feel like Spanish is Mandarin too, but Spanish is a very widely spoken language, especially since you're from Brazil. You're right there next to Argentina and all these other South American countries.
But this is the problem, because we have this feeling that, okay, we can understand, it's all good.
Oh, so I get you.
We will never have a problem to find a place or to get directions in Argentina or in Chile, these places. So we don't put effort on learning Spanish. We just go there and learn, I don't know, English, German, French, something more different. Yeah.
See, but I'm over here trying to speak Spanish or Portuguese right now because I never looked at it that way. Because the thing is with me, I guess that goes back to my original point, that it's harder for a Spanish speaker to understand a Portuguese speaker because of the way you guys speak. And then on top of that, you guys speak, especially in Brazil, very fast. I'm like, what?
Especially in Rio, we tend to speak Portuguese really fast. In the Northeast too, it sounds like other language. Sometimes if you're a Portuguese speaker and you don't pay attention, you will be like, what the actual fuck? What is this trying to speak with me? But as you go to the south of Brazil, you will see that they speak the correct Portuguese, with the whole conjugations, and they speak clearly and slowly. So yeah, as farther you go north, you will see that it gets harder and faster and more different from the standard Portuguese.
Wow. Would you say that it's that way because of the European influence in the south of Brazil?
Probably, because most of people in the south of Brazil are descendants of Italians and Germans and Polish people. A lot of Europeans that first came here because of the Habsburg Queen that we had. So we're the only country in the New World, in American continent, with a German speaker queen. So a lot of people came here, and then First World War and the Second World War, and these people start to learn Portuguese in the proper way. So they start teaching their kids Portuguese that they learn in the right way, correctly, with the whole, with the whole grammar in the proper way. I think that pretty much because of that.
So let me ask you this. This might be a little bit of a sensitive, touchy subject.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't get demonetized for this question. But I heard rumors, and you can debunk it if it's not true. I heard rumors that back in World War II, when the Nazi Germany was going down, that a lot of Nazi Germans immigrated to a lot of South American countries, one of them including Brazil, specifically in the south of Brazil. Is that true, or is that just a lie or a myth?
No, that's true, but not just because we're going to another continent because it's easy. Because we had big ties with Germany at that point. Brazil at some point before the World War II, we had 40 million native German speakers in the country. German is still the second most spoken language in the country. We have more German speakers than the English speakers or Spanish speakers here.
English, I know for a fact, is
Yeah.
1% of the population. So you're a part of that
Yeah.
1%.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. You should feel glad about that. But I didn't know that German was the second most spoken language in Brazil.
And people like Mango, I don't know if you heard of him. He was Hitler's death angel. He was one of the doctors that made the craziest experiments and experiences with people, with Jewish people. He left Germany, came to Brazil, and lived his life, like comfortable life as a Brazilian man. And he died here. He had another family, and he kept his normal life until he died. And people just discovered that he was the Hitler's death angel, like 16, 17 years after his death.
Wow. So, not to bring back PTSD,
Yeah.
Sergio. I don't know how big of a football fan you are.
I'm a big one.
But that must have been awkward because you said that the German language was the second most spoken language in Brazil, which I did not know, by the way. I assumed it was Spanish because of how close it is to other South
Few
American.
cities of Brazil still use German as official language, along with Portuguese.
Wow. I see. I just learned something today, man. I need to invite you more often, man. I'm learning a lot. I learned. It's only been, how long has it been? It's only been 15 minutes or so, and I've learned a lot of Brazil. But Sergio, that must have been awkward during the World Cup, man. During Brazil, when Germany did what they did, like it is the second most spoken language in the country.
Yes, I don't know if you know, we still have expression for that, and we use on daily basis. We say, "Oh, this is another 7-1." When something is going wrong, you look to the person and say, "Oh, and outro 7-1, mais 7-1," because of the moment. It completed 10 years, like 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I think what happened like July, literally 10 years ago.
Yes. And if you think about the World War II, it's really weird because we're still nowadays the country with the largest Japanese population out of Japan, and we also had a huge immigration of Italians. We're still the country with the largest number of Italian descendants out of Italy, and also German ones. We're the second one behind the US. So we got Italians, Japanese, and Germans here, and we fight the war along with US against Germany and Italy. So it's really weird.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much. Not I understand what you're saying, but logically, what went down were all those people immigrating to Brazil. That doesn't make much sense to me, especially if Brazil were allies with the US. But let me ask you this, man, because immigration, I feel like there's a lot of people from around the world because, like you said, Brazil has the largest Japanese population outside of Japan. Brazil has the largest Black population pretty much
out
in the
of
world.
Africa. I think out of Africa,
out of Africa. I heard Lebanese. There's a lot of Lebanese, Middle Eastern people.
That's a good one. We have more Lebanese people than Lebanon. Yeah, we have around 10 million here. I don't know if they are registered. I think it's like descendant of Lebanese people. I think it's like 2 million registered people as a Lebanese here, Brazil, and Lebanon got 4 million people or 5 million people. So we have 2 Lebanons inside of Brazil.
Yeah, man. So that leads me to my question, Sergio, and that is, why is it? And I know why, but I want you to explain it as a Brazilian man, because maybe you have a lot of more insight into this than I do. Why is it that all these people are coming to Brazil? Why is it that even in the year of 2024, you got the passport brothers, you got all these people that are looking to move to Brazil? What is going on in Brazil that all these people are going there?
I don't know the right answer for that, but something that I observe, and I think for me it's great. If you're let's suppose here that you're Islamic person, or you're, I don't know, like Chinese, you got to Brazil, you keep your culture with you, but your son, your daughter, they're going to be Brazilians because the culture here is so alive and so big that you can't keep your own culture for the second generation. You know, like you will be embraced by Brazilian culture, and you lost your children to the Brazilian culture. With Phil Brazilians, even the German descendants and the Portuguese. I came from a Portuguese family from my mother's side. We feel Brazilian. So I don't know where. I don't know if it's the beach or the machi in the beach, the football, but something make a bond with us, and we feel Brazilian. That's great. You can see that in the Olympics. People are just crazy about this. You're watching every single sport and cheering for people, and like sometimes we're the seventh place, and people go there, yeah, fuck yeah, we're between the 10 big power in this competition. So yeah, it's a crazy, weird, patriotic feeling because we are not patriotic about a lot of things, especially when we talk about violence or this kind of stuff. But deep in our hearts, we feel proud of being Brazilians. We feel proud of expanding our free time in the beach and watching football games and being passionate about something.
I love everything you said, Sergio. I agree 100% everything you said, man. Because in the United States, it's different. Because in the United States, when people immigrate here, yeah, they'll assimilate into the culture here. But I feel like with the immigrants, like there's not that patriotic sense. Like I feel a lot of the time, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm African American," or "Oh, I'm Chinese American," or "Oh, I'm Dominican." Like my case, I'm Dominican American. I'm Brazilian American. But no one says I'm American. Compared to Brazil, where you could be from Lebanon, from whatever city or country in the world outside of Brazil, come to Brazil, and now you're Brazilian. You know, and the culture in Brazil. So one of my favorite things about Brazil was the culture. The culture out there is so powerful. I can't describe it. It's just something about Brazil that's magical that I can't describe. But even me, who's an American, when I went down there, I felt Brazilian. I don't know what it was. And I wanted to claim that culture because I'm like, man, this is my first time coming to Brazil. And I love it here so much. I feel like I'm one of you guys. I feel like I'm Brazilian. And maybe it's because of the warmth and the fact that everyone embraced me the way that they did when I was down there. That could be a reason. But I feel like that culture in Brazil is one of the best cultures, if not the best culture I've ever encountered.
Yeah, no, it's different. It's something you don't feel the same thing in other places and in other parts of the world. It's weird, but I have a fun fact. You know that Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, he lived his whole life and studied abroad in England with using a Brazilian passport. He used a Brazilian name, a Brazilian passport, an official one. I don't know how they managed to get one, but no one questioned him because everyone can look Brazilian, even if you have Asian, how can I say, like features.
Asian, like genetics, like
yes, you're still Brazilian. So yeah, it's weird.
I love that you say that because I remember one day I was doing a live stream with a girl from Brazil. I think she was from Sao Paulo. I forgot what city it was. And I remember at the time I didn't know too much about Brazilian culture. I was kind of unaware of Brazilian culture. But I was speaking to her and they were talking about like Brazilian people and this, that. So me jokingly being a fool, I asked her, hey, do I look Brazilian? And she looked at me and she like giggled, like almost like she took it as like, you silly American, you know, like, and then she started speaking in Portuguese, but I kind of got the gist of what she was saying. Like, and what she was saying in Portuguese was basically that, you know, these Americans think that Brazilians have a look when we don't have a look. Anybody could be Brazilian. You know, you can be Chinese, whatever, and still be Brazilian.
One of the Brazilian symbols is Gisele Bündchen. You know Gisele, Tom Brady's ex-wife.
The model? Yeah.
Yeah. She's Brazilian, but she doesn't look Brazilian because she's a blue-eyed, white, blonde girl, like very tall. She's like kind of the model of Southern Brazilians. but she's still Brazilian. And we usually think, when we think about Brazilian women, we usually think about a black girl dancing samba in Rio or Salvador or
I'm thinking about the Pocahontas looking girls. That's what I think about.
Yes.
Those are my man. Listen, man, I need myself a Pocahontas girl from Brazil. That's what I need. I need to go to Manaus, the Amazonian River. I don't know. I need to go from over there. Yeah, man. But like you said, man, there's everything. That's what I love about Brazil, is that it's so diverse. You have your white people, your gingers, your black people, your tan people, your Pocahontas, anything you can think of, Brazil has it.
Yeah. Like in my family, my mom came from a Portuguese background from both sides, my grandpa and my granny. And from my daddy's side, he's my grandfather. From my daddy's side, he's Dutch Nigerian.
Ooh, interesting mix.
and my granny is native Brazilian. So I came from Dutch, Nigerian, native, and Portuguese. So it's when we dig a little bit further, you will see that you're like a huge mix. Especially if you live in the southeast of Brazil, like Rio and São Paulo, where people from everywhere in the world came to start a new life in America, in a different America, in the South America. You will see like the background is really crazy. It's like natives or Portuguese, Italians, and Japanese and everything, and we look this way with so many different features because of that.